I wanted to talk just a little bit today about driving your own career. I think it's critically important to be participatory. And even though people are interested in you, after all, they recruited you to your job, they get busy. They're interested in, of course, themselves first, that you have to be. And that's what I'm asking women in their careers to do, is be interested in yourself first and proactive. So there's a lot of identity development going on here. What happens, in adolescent development, right, is identity development, self-identity, sexual identity, vocational identity, and independence. And then as the adolescent is going into their full adolescence, into their 20s, they're in college and they have a college identity, and then they have a professional school identity, and then they go into academic biomedical faculty, or at least a role in academic biomedical sciences. And you have to develop your own identity. And this is often where people are thinking about, it's imposter syndrome. Okay, everybody has imposter syndrome constantly through their careers, because they're changing their identity as they seek what is compatible with their values, their beliefs, their strengths, their skills, and change and develop what you think you're going to become. There are a couple of really important quotes, I think, is the Lewis Carroll quote, "Any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going." Well, that could be what's happening in a career. And I'm talking about getting in that driver's seat, putting your seatbelt on, and going for the ride. I'm not saying it needs to be a wild ride. That's not how you learn to drive. But I'm saying you need to be in charge and want to do this. The other one is from Benjamin Franklin. There are three things extremely hard: steal, a diamond, and to know oneself. So in developing self-identity, or this changing identity, it's really hard. Nobody's saying it's easy. It is, however, easier to do if you're not just doing everything by yourself, or thinking that you're driving it. I think this is the right road, right? So it's important to join a group. And that's what happens when you interview for a position. That's what happens when you accept a position. You sign an offer letter. You are saying, gosh, I really like you all. I like this offer. I like this job. I think I like it. And I think I can thrive here. And that's what's supposed to be happening on the other side. They're saying, wow, I really like this person. I like their skills, at least how they've been presented. I think they've got great potential and they're going to thrive here. So that's how your identity starts developing. So do you just jump into the car and go? No, there's usually a little planning so you don't get in an accident one way or another. So one thing is you have rules of the road. And at your institution, the rules of the road are, and I'm going to talk a lot about what I know, my institution, and tools and rules that we have here, but there's something comparable at your institution. So we have a Board of Regents, University of Texas system, Board of Regents rules that encompass all the campuses. Lucky for us, they're a bit vague related to the health science campuses, which is good because we can mold them a little bit. They're a little flexible, and that's really nice. And then we have what we call the HAP, a Handbook of Operating Policies and Procedures. And that is a direct reflection of the Board of Regents rules most applicable to us. You may have a school-related HOP, and there may be other overarching rules. So You also received an offer letter, a job description, a role description. That's critically important because you signed that and you said, yes, I want to do this. You accepted that position. And that's what they're, at least in some degree, holding you to, but you do need to explore that and say, to what degree are you holding me to this? And then there are, we call it PTAC, everything that's promotion, tenure, and appointments committee, that's PTAC. We call the individual processes of promotion PTAC. Anyway, so the PTAC guidelines include promotion guidelines and tenure guidelines. And for our School of Medicine, we have annotated those, and the we is all faculty members to which they're relevant, like people on tenure track or with tenure got to annotate the tenure guidelines. So we got together in 2017 so that by 2018, since the Promotion and Tenure Committee went from an all institutional committee to a school-based committee, we annotated those guidelines so that they might be much more understandable by our faculty. We're holding our faculty accountable to our guidelines directly from the HAAP, directly from the Board of Regents rules. You also have a compensation plan, and you may have an incentive in there for something that you're doing. Your job is governed by, you'd certainly like to get paid for what you do, right? So it needs to be taken into consideration, just like you'd like to be promoted for what you do. And the other thing is, how do you express what you do? And that's the CV template. We recently went from electronic version because it had a lot of inflexibility, and also the institution was no longer supporting that framework, to an annotated, once again, annotated Word document CV template, so that you can look at your CV in a Word document, cut something out, look at the annotated document, and paste it in a blank framework where it's supposed to go. The other thing that's out there are safety parameters. When you're learning to drive, right, you take courses, you are with your student driver, so you're developing your identity as a driver. You've got maps to help you along the way. And one of the big safety parameters for your career is mentoring. I'm not discounting sponsorship, which is a specialized need or a certain time in your career for certain things. I'm not discounting your other advisors. Those are all important. But this is one way to frame mentoring as kind of a safety guideline, like the other guidelines. And so you don't get too far off track and in the wilds and feel like you're all by yourself. So there are things like mentor maps. And we have a written institutional career development plan. And it's actually the I is supposed to be individualized career development plan. And that is supposed to be the basis of your annual evaluation and goal writing, smart goal writing, short term, a year, maybe to 2, or longer term, up to 5 years, and then what I call fantasy goals. Not that they're not achievable, but you're keeping the goal in mind right now in the context you're working in right now. And those goals, if people, your advisor who does your evaluation, and you have the discipline to write those, your evaluation becomes a debriefing of each goal to say, wow, did you meet your goal? Did you not meet your goal? Did you exceed your goal? And why? And so you could say, I was supposed to do this experiment and the person took the equipment with them when they left and I couldn't do it. And you go, well, that was not a good goal for you, so let's write a new one, right? Or I wrote 2 papers instead of 1. How did that happen? Let's make that happen again. So you're debriefing the goals and the level of success of these goals and writing the next year's ICDP. Then there's self-mentoring. So self-mentoring happens in a lot of ways, and I provide some framework for that as well. Some of that is just seeking out advice like you're doing here on this presentation, echo session. I think your career, this is how I conceptualize it, it's a giant personal continuous quality improvement project. Yourself, right? Your career. You're getting it more and more aligned with your own expectations and those around you. The context is critically important. This is the context I want to be in, I'm working in, and I will thrive in. And I usually say PDSA cycle, so Plan, Do, Study, Act, but I couldn't find a nice one that said study. And I also like to say, not this moving on like you're going to another institution or whatever, but that's a possibility. I like to say moving forward. So knowing yourself, exploring your options, making decisions, and moving forward, progress. And I couldn't find one that said that either, but. So what do you need? What are some tools that is your responsibility? You may have to do self-mentoring by asking questions. Where do I find these? What's out there? What does my institution provide? Where is it? Who knows about it? Who uses it well? So here are some of the tools that we provide at our institution. The annotated promotion and tenure guidelines. They're separate. We also provide a landscape or horizontal version with each of the guidelines so you can write in the evidence. Just write it in there. Do you have it or not? And literally, this is what our PTAC uses. So common attributes of successful tenure. These were put together, two documents, one for the basic science departments, one for the clinical departments, by all the chairs of those respective departments and all the faculty who had succeeded in tenure in those departments, to help people understand what are some attributes that are just generally going to make you successful, and you might write goals to strive for those. What I created, I call it my venues documents for career planning. You'll see those in a minute. Another document of how to target your publications and presentations between really highly esteemed targets for those versus predatory publications or conferences. The CV annotated template plus the blank framework that you paste or type things into. And your faculty career guidance or mentoring is also a major resource. Here we don't have these different tracks per se. We have what's called scholarship strength. Your track is either a non-tenure track with one major focus of scholarship strength and activity in another, or you're on tenure track or with tenure with two areas of scholarship strength and activity in the third. And your choices are teaching, education, research, or service. This is an example of the landscape version of non-tenure track guidelines. The black are what's in the Board of Regents rules and the HAAP, and the blue are where we say, this is what this means. So academic credentials congruent with the expectation of the school and department. For the School of Medicine, this means you need a doctoral, quote, terminal degree and any board certifications that apply. And you can have a faculty title with rank. We have other faculty titles without rank for people who have not, in our definition, the School of Medicine, have a terminal PhD or MD/DO or something similar degree, doctoral level. It also says you need to teach students in a classroom, for example, and that's where it applies to the general academic campuses. And we interpret that and say students means any level of learner. Just tell us how many, how much, how often, what level of learner. And in a classroom is secret code for any venue. Just tell us it's in a clinic, it's in the classroom, it's in a workshop, whatever. These are the other ones. In the landscape version, we also have the vertical version that doesn't have this evidence space. But like I said, your promotion and tenure committee on the department level, to which I just gave a talk and reminded them what their role is, should use this. They should use this with you. Your evaluator should use this with you. You should use this on yourself to have a target, to know the road you're trying to follow. Same thing for tenure. It's very short guidelines. They're pretty much embedded in the promotion guidelines, but we did the same thing. And just, you can self-rate them as exceeds expectation, meets expectation, does not meet, or this is just totally not good for me. Okay, these are what the common attributes look like, the first page of 3 pages for each of these. And it talks about in the 3 areas of potential scholarship strength. What would it look like in the basic science departments? What would it look like in the clinical science departments? Examples. You don't have to have all of these. You have to have some of them in your area, or most of them maybe, in your area of scholarship strength. This is an example of my venues documents. There are separate documents for education, teaching, service, and research. And you can just glance at this, and then the most important thing is you are trying to have tangible, documentable, demonstratable products and outcomes, especially funding. Funding talks. Sorry to have to say that, but funding really gets attention. So you must produce something, a project, a presentation, a poster, a speaker, a workshop, a publication, a policy. You have to show you're participatory citizen in a committee, working into leadership, that you're mentoring others. This is not comprehensive, it's just to give you an idea. So this is the objective of my venues documents. It's a resource list of one's specialty or subspecialty venues where things can be demonstrated in your particular scholarship strength area. You can ignore the other scholarship strength areas because it's impossible not to have activity in another one, or depending on if you're on non-tenure track or tenure track. It's just not possible when you're in academic biomedical sciences. There are separate ones, like I said, for each of the scholarship strength area. They reiterate the permutations of, is this a campus or local event? Is this a state or regional venue? Is this a national, international venue? And then within each area, there are separate venues of, so in education, events, conferences, honors awards, committee service, and funding sources. And the point is, for probably not you, because you might not know, or all of them, but if there's a deputy chair for education, a deputy chair for research, a deputy chair for faculty development, in your meaning career development in my mind, or for clinical ops, they should be filling this out for your department or your subspecialty, because they know. In pediatrics, I know what the conferences are that are academically targetable and are held in the highest esteem. I know what the publications are that you should target, but I have no clue in CT surgery or microbiology. I sort of do, like nature or science, but they're the ones that should be filling this out and mentoring you to this. It may be that you take the venues form to your evaluator and to these deputy chairs and say, help me fill this out for me. And again, there are blanks in there and it needs to be completed so you can have clarity of where you're going to do things. So this is my document for targeting your work and planning your work. Where should you aim the highest for your publications and your conference speaking? Here's the annotated CV. One thing that we incorporated was the CV verification statement in the top left, so you don't have to say, this is really my updated CV. The reason we did that was people would sign the verification document and they would sign it before the CV was dated. And you go, well, which CV did you verify? So here it is. It's got all these annotations for many pages all the way through every scholarship strength area and helps you along where to document things, including your mentoring. So I do have selected mentoring resources on there, some for the individual, some for mentors. We have a couple types of mentor mapping or planning documents. Who might be possible. Again, you can do this with other people. This is what your onboarding mentor is supposed to do, is get your initial SMART goals written and think of potential ongoing, or I call them more forever mentors. Your onboarding mentors to help you feel comfortable and get started and oriented. And they may not be your more forever mentor. I have some articles listed. I really like the one about the role of the mentee. These are both kind of a little bit older articles, but they're short and they're great. And the same thing with Nature's Guide for Mentors. It's very broadly applicable, whether it's basic science or clinical sciences. And I think it's an important article. I have a few others listed. And then I put together this document for taking a look at, is my mentor doing a good job? Or what am I looking for in a mentor? Or you can use it backwards. People can use it in many different ways to say, do I have a mentoring relationship I'm evaluating, or am I looking for one? And this helps me have clarity of what I'm looking for. This was a compilation of a lot of articles out there about what is mentoring, and just short and sweet. So I believe you should be adding intentionality to your career. Use those resources, use those tools, use your own intentionality to figure out where your goals are. Begin with the end in mind. Hopefully those resources will help you figure out the end and make it go from vague, like, I want to be promoted. I want to be promoted within 6 years, to what do I need? Oh, I need this. And then you get to the granular, this is what my goal is at this moment. So you're going to strategize. It's hopefully together with your leader. What is your scholarship strength? I have people that want to go up for promotion and they don't even know what their focus area is. It's like, oh, that's bad news. We've got to figure this out. We can look at your CV, look at that evidence document and say, oh my gosh, you do all this work. And this is your scholarship strength area. And then I devise what I call whamming your career, whamming your goals. You're asking yourself with every goal, why and how am I doing this? I am aligning it with my career, with those resources. This is what your mentor could do. This is what you can self-mentor. So you say, why am I doing this? Oh, because it supports my scholarship strength. Why am I doing it now? Yeah, this timing isn't great. Maybe that should be a 5-year, up to 5-year goal and not a 1-year goal. So promotion shouldn't even be a mystery. When you have your end of year review with your evaluator, your goal should have gotten closer and closer. Next year, I want to go up for promotion. So you're ready, and that is your main goal for the next year, as the evaluations are like now or maybe up to June. And the call for next year's promotion is coming out in January or February from the departments. And you say, how? How does this align with my scholarship strength? And that's where you get into the skill of saying yes less. And you are really thinking, oh, this isn't aligned. I don't need to do this now. How am I going to document it? That's why I had those tarot cards on the one slide. You have in front of you the PTAC guidelines because you want to get promoted. You have your compensation plan because you want to get paid. You have your CV template there because you want to figure out, where do I document and how do I document it? You want to plan ahead and map it out. And I always say, what you are building in your career is mass, momentum, impact, and legacy. And that's your goal. And then you start driving. You've had your rules of the road learning. You've had your student driver teaching. You've got your guidelines. You've tested it out, and you start driving. So click your seatbelt and drive your career. Thank you.